Hello, everyone, and welcome, and thanks for coming over. I'm Gil, as you said, the CEO and founder of startup and a board member of IAB. And you must be, well, I do know a few of you. I can't say that I don't, because it is as well in Tel Aviv, and I met with many of you. But I didn't meet most of you yet, but I still know many, many different things about you, okay? And how we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about it through, the revolution of the advertising industry, kind of since the beginning of it, or since the beginning that we are familiar with. So that's the Darwin theory of the mobile advertising. And we'll start with the print, okay? Which is the first medium for real mass marketing, mass advertising. And just to give you a sense of where it is then versus where it is today, I'm pretty sure all of you heard about Playboy before, okay? And started about 60 years ago. At the peak, more than 7 million subscribers monthly. About a quarter of the US college population who actually subscribe to it or buy it on a regular basis, okay? And the reason I'm saying it now, because this week they actually announced that they are taking off all nudity and almost everything from the printed magazine, because the printed magazine is losing money like hell, and the only reason to maintain it in a very low volume is to keep the brand name to sell merchandise on other places, okay? And so we'll talk about part of the reason it changed. Yeah, so what we do when we put advertising on printed magazines. We know where you are, kind of, okay, or we know who you are. We know which language you're reading, or at least hope to. In the case of Playboy, I'm not sure it's relevant which language you're actually reading. But we didn't really know much more than this, okay? So we moved to the billboard, okay? Which we know exactly where you are. We know which language you're actually reading. We kind of know the context, okay? Because it does make a difference if you're putting a billboard in front of a mall or in the entrance to Manhattan or in an entrance to the stadium or wherever it is. And there is a context for why to do it, okay? My first company was a TV search and recommendation engine. I lived at the time in San Francisco, and we put a billboard. We got it in a huge discount, but we put a billboard next to the SFO on the 101. And if any of you, and what's the reason? We are a consumer application. There is no chance in hell that we can actually cover the cost by putting a big billboard on the SFO, okay? Just the costs do not make sense. But if any of you is in the startup and try to raise money, you know that most of the VCs are actually either in Sand Hill Road or in San Francisco. And all of them are riding the 101 back and forth from home to their offices. So we were in the position of looking for money. Whenever we came to a meeting, the impression was, well, maybe, yeah, it's a big company. I heard about you before. Yeah, you didn't hear anything about us. You just saw the sign when you actually crossed it on the 101. So if you put it in the right context, it actually works. But there is many limitations of what it actually provides. Then we got a bit, more sophisticated, and we moved to the radio era. And in the radio, which never really pick up big time on advertising, but you know where you are, you know what language do you speak, or at least listen to if it's not music. We kind of know the context, we know the interest, not really much more than it, okay? So then we try to be a bit more sophisticated, and we have the mobile billboards, okay? Again, not big scale, nothing that really work in a big one, but people use it mainly in convention and other places. So both radio, newspapers, and billboards are fine medium for advertising, but really limited in terms of capabilities. So we're moving to the big one. And the TV is the one that really changed the industry, both in terms of advertising, but really the advertising is a sub-segment of the medium as consumption of media, okay? And TV really changed the universe. You know that people are using or watching, used to, like 7 hours a day of TV, and started, I believe it, 1939 with the first broadcast of NBC of the New York Fair. 40 years later, arrived to Tel Aviv, or actually to Jerusalem, with the first color newscast of the Eurovision, if any of you remember it. But it really changed the world in terms of advertising. It's still the biggest bucket. It will change, but it's still the biggest bucket of advertising budget. Okay? And what we know where are you, We know what language do you speak. We know the contents and interest. Again, not according to the US and Israeli elections polls, and we'll talk about it more later on. But there is many limitations. You can see many companies at the time, like, you can see many companies that, like the IBM, that put TV in a box and put hundreds of millions of dollars at a time to try to send different advertisement to different TV stations. Did it really work and make a difference? Not really, and that's part of the reason that most of you never heard about it, okay? Because most of these efforts were not really successful. But user experience, amazing. We saw the presentation of Rovio before. There is nothing like really seeing something that works in a beautiful way and have the great user experience, okay? It makes a huge impact, and we'll talk about it more later on. And that's really make a big difference. So I'm going backwards on this. Okay. So we move to the web, and that's really another big shift in the industry. It enables us to really know what people are doing in most cases, okay? We know if someone actually clicked on impression, if he saw it, if he clicked on it, if he or she actually went through and actually bought something afterwards, if they've been engaged with any application or any advertisement. We know which ad unit actually works and which ad unit didn't. We can do A/B testing. So, we're making this kind of decision of who is going to be the new president or prime minister based on 1,000 or few thousand of meters versus A/B test that if we get a sample size of less than 50 or 100,000 users, we don't really count it as a big enough sample to make a decision accordingly today. Okay? So it makes a huge difference in how we actually use the web and how we use the TV. We can optimize it big time. Okay? And one of the phenomena that people are thinking, well, the PC and mobile are taking over the TV, it's not really the case. Okay? People are still consuming, for the vast majority, the same amount of TV that they used before. It's still the main device that are connected to the same living room in the house, and people are watching TV over there, or at least it's open over there. So you can see how many hours per day people are watching. This is US sample, but it kind of represents. And it didn't really change much. The PC is growing nicely, but you see that the mobile is actually booming big time, and it's not instead of the TV. It's in addition. Okay? So look on it, the total of consumption was a bit less than 7 hours a day. Now it's almost 10 hours a day of medium consumption. Okay? And all of it is in addition. Well, kind of in addition, okay? And what do I mean? I think most of you that are watching TV are not only watching TV without, leaving your laptops and leaving your mobile devices aside. Most of us are actually, or a lot of us are watching TV and in the same time seeing what we get on the emails, answering WhatsApp, SMS, etc. I know that I'm seeing my daughter today, and I live in New York. So whenever I open her room, I'm seeing her watching a show in English on TV, like Disney Channel, usually, or whatever. And then on her iPad, she's actually watching at the same time a show in Hebrew from Israel. Okay? So it is a different mindset from what we actually grew up upon. And yet, okay, if you're looking data-wise, we don't know exactly where are you. We don't know who you are, because it can be like different people using the same laptop or the same PC at home. You're a different person when you're at home versus when you're at work. So we don't really know exactly who you are. And it's a different mindset of leaning forward versus leaning backwards. Okay? If you're not familiar with the concept, when you're watching TV, you're leaning backwards and just consuming the TV and consuming the advertising as part of it. When you're using your PC, you're leaning forward. And it's kind of the same with the mobile, just usually mobile is when you're walking. So, it's a different experience. So let's go back to the beginning, okay? I still don't know maybe who you are, but we do know a lot about who you are and what you do and what you're looking for, because we have tons of data. Nothing with any personal identification or anything like it, but we still know when we come to the mobile. We do know where you are because we have GPS in most cases. We know what devices you're using. We know if you're connected to the Wi-Fi or what's the reception that you're having. We know your gender. We know many different attributes of what you're clicking on, what you like and what you don't like. It's totally, in most cases, personal, you as a person, the same person when you're going to different places. Okay? So we know a lot about you. We know what you plan, and I know that it sounds kind of arrogant, but in many cases we know what you are going to do even before you know what you're going to do. With all the machine learning and the experience of seeing other people, we kind of know what's the next step in many cases. Okay? And we can put it to play. So looking on our playground, and again, the presentation from Rovio was actually excellent for this. Some of you may have seen it before, two chipsets, one of it from a bit over 40 years ago and one of it from now. The one on the left side is 1,000 times bigger in terms of memory, order of magnitude more in terms of capabilities. And one of them used to launch the space shuttle, and one of them all of us has on the iPhone devices today, okay, or Android. So you have way more capabilities in terms of what we can do technically on the device, in terms of UI, and it's a shame if you're actually not take it into account and make something with it. Looking again on data, because I do want to talk about data, which I love. One of the things that people think continuously is that PC is dead and people are not watching TV or not using it. Still 20% more time usage on PC just in the last year. Yes, not anything near the growth rate of mobile, which doubled by twice almost. Okay? And if you look into it, mobile application, no mistake. Mobile web is nice, but it doesn't reach 15% of the usage, and most likely will go down. And not only go down, it's usually the people that are not engaged. Okay? So it's not only like in terms of consumption, it's usually the consumption of the people that are not really engaged with what you're doing. Where the budget to the mobile is going to, mainly as I talked to from print, the print in terms of advertisement is about to die, and you see it from almost all newspapers and magazines, the amount of advertisement they're trying to put because the number of subscription is going down continuously is insane. But it comes from many different medium. It takes time. It takes time to the agencies, to the brand to recognize, well, we need to shift the budget from the traditional TV and print and billboard to things that we can actually engage with and know what to do with. So I talked a lot about data, but I also mentioned, that the user experience is critical for what someone may want to do. And it's not only mobile, which that's what we do. We're a mobile advertising platform, but it's not only mobile, okay? It's anywhere, okay? Not sure if you're familiar with it. That's the US subway, the New York subway. The green line, number 5, goes from Brooklyn to Upper Manhattan. That's the same one that I'm using on a weekly basis to take my daughter to the Shevet HaTapuach HaGadol. But you think that's the way it is, very efficient, extremely efficient, kind of disgusting experience when you go into it in many cases. Same when you go to Berlin, same if you use the tube in London, and you think, well, it's a subway, that's the way it should be, that's the way it can be, and it's not really the case, okay? If any of you ever been before in Tokyo or in Moscow or in Stockholm, you know that you can do a different experience, okay? You can make something that will look totally different, that when you leave the subway, you know exactly where you are, it looks different, it makes you actually want to go there, and can be done in a total different way. Again, the same medium, the same experience, same in theory capabilities, but totally different experience, okay? And I'm still waiting for New York to do something about it. So, a bit about what we do, because it is important. We do believe that you need to take into account all the mobile capabilities in terms of data, as well as take into account all the look and feel and the user experience that you can have. We call it the brains and beauty, essentially connecting the left side and the right side of the brain together makes use of the big data and analytics and with the same time of using totally different look and feel of advertisement. Does it work? Yes, it works. The proof is in the pudding. We've been chosen as #1 fastest growing company by Inc. 5000, #1 fastest growing company by Crane. And I'm not saying it in order to brag about it, it's just combining the look and feel with the data makes a big difference on both conversion and user experience, okay? Which is essentially what both publishers and advertising are looking for. They're looking for their money to actually work well, but they're looking also for the right user experience. Some other data point that makes, sure that it works, that's a number of applications that we are working with, okay, and integrated with us. And it is a big number, over 200,000 applications that have integrated with us. Download our SDK in the market. And if you do the math, yeah, that's almost 8 billion downloads of our SDK, which means on average, every single device in the universe have been downloaded over 4 times our SDK. Okay? I think it's decent amount of numbers. And that's, reaches to like almost 400 million monthly active users. I can't really show it now live, but if any of you will download our startup showcase, you can see the 360 ad that we did. We were the first one that launched commercially 360 advertisement that really use the capabilities of knowing where the user, who's the user, which application, which device, etc., with using the gyros and capabilities of the device that you can look backwards, up, down, and actually see the ad unit totally different. And it works fabulously. We launch it with more and more companies today, and it looks brilliant. And despite the fact that I'm, live in New York and love New York, there is nothing like Tel Aviv. So enjoy the Tel Aviv era and enjoy the city. Thanks.
Wonderful. We do have some time for Q&A if anybody has any questions in the audience. We have a volunteer here with a microphone. And so raise your hand so he can see you, and he'll run that microphone up to you. And yeah, if you have any questions.
First of all, I have to apologize. I don't know a whole lot about the back end of what you guys do. But as far as the ad networks go, do you push through all of them, all the ones that are out there, or are you specifically your own ad service?
We're using our own ad serving. We're using, in most cases, direct relationship with publishers and direct relationship with advertisers. With publishers, almost all of it is direct, and the reason is technical capabilities, but also have the brand safety, so you know where your advertisement is actually being broadcast, okay, rather than places that you're not really recognized with it. And with the selling directly to advertisement as well, it gives you, we're not doing it 100% because they're different, we are worldwide, so not always we have full fill rate in Thailand or any other country in the world, so we do use other networks to fill it. But in most cases, we work directly with advertisers or agencies. The direct connection gives you the ability to actually serve them better. You know what they want. You can optimize. It's not optimized for a click. It's optimized for the engagement afterwards. So by working together, you can actually serve them much better and do more creative things with them.
We'd have time for a couple of more if anybody else has any questions.
Just a question about video advertising. You mentioned earlier, still the biggest market is TV, and now more and more video advertising coming to mobile. How do you see that in terms of your strategy and generally in the market?
So it's a good question how video advertising is evolving on mobile. We do video advertising as well on mobile, okay? And the trend is going there in big times. Is it still big numbers? Is it yet big numbers? Not yet, okay? It will be, there is no doubt. But there are many places you're working with a device, and I'm actually working with 2 devices because one of them US, one of them Israel. They're not all connected the same way. If you don't really have good Wi-Fi connection, doing video will not serve you well. Will cost the user and won't make them excited. So you can serve video only if it's really like short video, if it's really made for mobile, which most advertisers didn't do it yet for mobile. They're not really aware that you can serve shorter video. So it will take time. There is no doubt in my mind that it will be big. And it does perform better financially. There is no question about it. We can see 30, 40, 50% higher CPM when we're doing video versus display.
Wonderful. I think that's a good place to close. Everybody give Gil another round of applause.
Thanks.